Welcome to the Strategic Growth Experts podcast. Today I have Nicholas Bayerle from the $1 Billion Body. Nicholas, how are you doing today?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. Grateful to be on the call with you, and I'm excited to see what we jump into.
Absolutely. So your story, just tell us a little bit about your story, how you got started with the $1 Billion Body, and kind of what you're doing with that.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it was nothing special. I wanted to be a professional athlete growing up, which I'm sure everyone out there, when you come out of the womb, you don't necessarily think that you're just going to do stupid stuff with your life. You usually dream out there and do something great. So I was pretty average in that way. I wanted to be a professional motocross rider, and that's all that I did from 4 years old until I was about 13. And then I ended up having a falling out with my dad right after I had just started my first business, which was a lawn mowing service, like pulling weeds, all those types of things. And I was doing pretty well, but at the time I was just struggling with depression, struggling with things like self-doubt, and not really mounting up to the person that I thought I should be. I was the shortest kid in all of my school, going in high school, everything like that, and just didn't seem like I was really amounting too much. So I got to the point where I actually wanted to go all in on motocross. I told my dad, I told him that I wanted to be the best in the world because I just needed someone to believe in me. And at that moment in time, my dad looked at me and told me that I would never be the best. And that literally cut me in half in 1 second, which is cool because equally, if you can get cut in half in 1 second negatively, you can also get you could also get put back together in 1 second. So that one comment spiraled me into a series of habits that had me graduate with a 1.8 GPA. I did every single year in summer school while I was in high school. I never had a girlfriend for 7 years, and I gained 60 pounds. So that's basically how my whole life was. Exiting high school was going into the world with no job, 1.8 GPA, coming out of high school, would not get accepted into any college, had no real purpose or direction for my life. And my whole life changed when I met this one guy who had a meal plan that was a boxer. And at the time, I was always motivated. I told you I want to be a professional athlete, but I just didn't have a step-by-step game plan to figure out where to start and where was I going to get that motivation and confidence and energy to go out there and do that. And that meal plan transformed my life forever because it actually helped me lose 60 pounds, which then gave me the confidence to reconnect with my dad, attract the wife of my dreams, which then caused me to go back into what my passion was, which was business, and be able to go after those goals again. And now have a company that's international, helping men that own businesses get fit. And we transformed thousands of guys' lives now. I think we're at like 4,000 people reached through our program.
Wow, that's incredible. So what were you doing? What was the meal plan? What were you doing at that time? Like, did you find were you working a job? What was your? No,
never had a job before, man. I was actually just super poor, living on the floor until I was about 20, and I got married with no job still to that time. So I was still like trying to like scrounge up a little support, like doing yard work for people, living off of about $600 a month at the time. And that's pretty crazy to do. If anyone wants a trial and tribulation, try to live off $600 a month. And that was definitely not fun. So I never ate out for like a few years, none of that kind of stuff. So at the time, I was just studying. I was trying to grow. I was reading books. I was reading the Bible. And I just knew that a job wasn't my end destination. So I tried not to do anything. And I learned this from my dad because he actually pushed me down a hill when I was 2 years old with no training wheels. So 2 years old, I never had training wheels, and I even use that to this day because training wheels ultimately at the end of the day is not the destination. They just keep you from falling. But I don't even like to touch anything that just keeps me from falling but doesn't actually help me get closer to my goals. So at the time, no job, no nothing, and the meal plan, funny enough, all I did was see that he ate fruit and less junk food, and that was enough motivation, but it still didn't end there. I actually starved myself pretty much down 60 pounds, and it wasn't until I actually hired a coach at 19 where we did a trade-off actually because I had no money at all. That's what really gave me the education and the excitement because I got fit for the first time in my life. I experienced confidence and power from investing in myself, and that's what I give to these guys as well.
So what is this? So what? How do you deliver your programs to people? I mean, is it your live events? Are you doing coaching? Are you doing all of the above?
Definitely all of the above. We do live events. We just had a 100-person live event in downtown San Diego. Our next one is in 2018 in June, and that's a super empowering weekend where we basically go through. We have a whole year transformation basically in 2 days, especially with the connections. And then from there, we have innovative coaching as well with different types of formulas and proprietary formulas that we use that we've come up with. I personally have coached 600 men over the last 5 years, one-on-one, which is quite a bit for the actual one-on-one coaching space. And so really have learned the heartbeat of the successful male, what these guys are doing that are running multi-million, 8-figure, 9-figure companies. And the cool thing is they're not that much different than people that aren't running those huge companies that are interested in doing that. There's not tons of differences, but those differences that they do have or those strengths that they do have definitely amplify the success. And we help bridge that gap into the health sector. And then also we bridge the gap for these guys that maybe aren't having the success that they want to connect them with those like-minded men. So I think right now we're at the highest net worth coaching community for health on the planet based on everyone's net worth together, which just shows that we'd love to attract that type of person. I knew that if I was going to train people every day and I was going to pour my heart and soul into all these people in the health area and the mindset area, since I got mentored by Navy SEALs for, well, now it's 7 years, so for 3.5 years I saw them 6 days a week. And taking that mindset side of it and imparting that to them, I didn't want to be around people that didn't want to do something big with their life. They had nothing to do with it. I wanted to be around people that wanted to make an impact and were hungry for something greater.
So how did you get the breakthrough? Like how did you get your first client? How did you start? Was it an incremental build? You just started making a little bit more here and there. Or how did you get a breakthrough? And do you have you built in residual cash flow models for your business, or are you focused on, kind of like big ticket items? How did you have the breakthrough, and then what's your strategy today?
Yeah, so the breakthrough just never seemed like it was going to come quick enough. We had all the back end stuff down, but the problem is that you could be a pro at back end stuff, or even you could be a pro at a job, maybe, let's say. But if you do that job in a business, unless it's sales, you're just not going to make any money. You don't get paid by someone to just do work. So I felt like we went through a lot of times of that, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of failed businesses. We were homeless for a month and a half as well a couple of years ago. And so it definitely wasn't like this perfect incremental growth. It was like, hey, a year we did really good and we could do whatever the heck we want. And then the next year, we're homeless for a month and a half and we're living in the crappiest apartment in San Diego. And then we kind of built up from there. So it took about 3 years, I would say, to have any type of steady balance. 3 years of pretty hard work and focus, but still, we were still the same. We were holding us back. If I were to start over right now with what I know, it would take me, less than 30 days to have a stable income. So from there, it really came down to a summit that we put together, an online summit, and we met this guy named Cole Hatter that's now a mentor and client of mine now. And at the time, we brought him on to talk about entrepreneurship because we wanted to attract entrepreneurs to then sell health services to. And he believed in us so much that I actually went up to him and I told him, hey, Cole, I think I can help you get healthier. I don't want to charge you anything, though, because you're a big deal and I'm a nobody. And he said, no, I want to pay for it, and I want to pay full price. And so someone like that believed in me was huge, and to be able to go out there and show our talents. And from there, I got invited to speak at his mastermind, which was 50 people. And that weekend, without any type of sales from the front of the room, we went from making $2,500 a month or so in the business, which is not good, to we did $35,000 that weekend from the 50 people that were in the room, selling a product that was around $3,300 per person. And that really gave me the belief. And that's when I really felt like, wow, we can do this thing. And so that's when we really jumped all in. And I would say we got stuck even at the $10K a month for a couple months, like quite a while. And then 20,000, we got kind of stuck there. I don't know what was up with the round numbers. And then kind of shot up to, some months doing six figures or multiple six figures.
Incredible, man. That's absolutely incredible.
Thanks,
So
man. I mean, it was definitely, it's weird. You know, they always say that, 90% of a rocket's fuel is used just getting off the ground, right? It's like, it feels like success is so tangible right there in front of you. And sometimes it just takes all the hard work over a bunch of time to finally, light the match and take off. And then from there, sustaining it, you have to keep doing the same things that you did to create momentum.
So what would you say to someone who's stuck in a 9-to-5, who, has great ideas, has been struggling to execute because they spend a lot of time in a job, or, and not that it's wrong for some people, but, to be able to surpass that type of income and create that type of life for yourself, what would you say to somebody struggling to find their way?
Yeah, so I would say that first needs to have a deep hunger. I would literally punch myself in the face right now if I had to go get a job. I'd punch myself every single day in the face, because I have such a deep hunger to never ever go back to a job, to never ever allow that to happen. I was willing to sleep on a floor and live for $600 a month to not go get a job. Even when my dad, everyone was telling me basically that I was stupid. I got into coffee. I bought a $4,000 coffee machine with our wedding money, and I was buying 10 pounds of coffee every week to learn different temperatures that you brew coffee to get a different taste. And I was spending money to do it my way rather than going and working in a cafe. So first thing is figuring out what your non-negotiables are, and why do you actually want to go and raise your income? What is the thing that's going to be the motivating factor? For me, it's absolutely not going to live this life sitting at a job that has limited income potential. It's just not going to happen. So if you've already done that with your life, now it's going to be breaking the cycle and figuring out ways that you can have a pattern interrupt in your life to then shake things up and take a leap out. Now, the majority of people wish too much. They want, but nobody in this world is rewarded for wanting. If God rewarded people in need, then everyone in Africa would be fed. That's just not how things are rewarded. Things are rewarded through faith and belief. So from there, it's figuring out what that deep hunger is that's going to drive you, because these next three things are exactly what every single successful person has done and will do to create success, especially sustainable. The first one is like-minded people around them. Very hard to be out of shape if you're around in-shape people all day. It's very hard to be broke or unsuccessful when you have people around you that don't have that type of mindset, and they're always holding you accountable. Every time you say a problem, they go, hey, stop speaking the problem, speak the solution. You're around these people every single day, day in and day out. And the problem that men go through a lot of times is that they either only go into community when they're doing really bad, and then once they start doing well again, they leave community and go back to just working hard, or they only do it when they're doing well. So they're doing really, really well, they're having success, so then they go back into having friends and great community, and then once they start doing bad again, then they just blame it on their friends and community and go back to isolation, and they don't have it. So surrounding yourself with the right people, and I've always done this. I always try to have everyone around me either growing at the same rate or 10x the results that I'm producing in my life or business. The second thing is mentors. No matter what, every single person needs mentors. Don't get them mixed up with teachers. Teachers teach you a subject. Mentors teach you about life. And I always look for mentors that are prospering in health, business, and relationships, or else I don't have full trust. And the third thing is the step-by-step game plan, and that usually takes an expert or a teacher that's where you want to be. So that's why the deep hunger needs to be there, because some people may be where you want to be, but you don't actually know where you want to go. Because if I were to ask someone, what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to be a basketball player? They would say, sure, but they would never want to do the work to get there, which means that they don't actually want that. But if it was on a shelf and you could just pick it off the shelf, they would take it. Everyone says, I want to be a millionaire. I want to make $5 million in the next 5 years. But they don't actually want to do what it takes to do that. So being very clear on that is big. So the people around you, the mentors, and the step-by-step game plan are the things that transform my life forever.
It's incredible. Yeah, and there's nothing like getting a good break. I think location too at this point in time is important too. I mean, you're kind of in an area in Southern California where you have a lot of people who, you know, you have the highest concentration of millionaires. You have a lot of people who are, you know, have done a lot of unconventional things. There's a lot of really successful people. So there is something to be said about your location and what kind of opportunities can come to you and what you can manifest.
Oh, absolutely. I always talk about cars as opportunities. You know that when you see a car, you want to buy a car, you start seeing that car everywhere. But if you're in the middle of America right now, no matter how much you picture, post up on your wall Ferraris or Lambos, you're just never going to see them. And if that was the same thing as opportunity, no matter how much you're looking for opportunity in the middle of nowhere, it's just never going to show up. But there's lots of small opportunities all around you. If you want to look at Honda Civics your entire life and have Honda Civic style opportunities, you can go to any part of the world. So there's a huge part about if you want to do, $300,000 car deals, right? Like if you want to see deals like that or you want to have opportunities like that, you need to be in places where that happens all the time. Go on Rodeo Drive, sit down for 5 minutes, and you'll see 15 Rolls Royce, 30 Lambos, and a bunch of Ferraris. And even if you have this most souped-up M4 and the coolest car in your city back home, that car is, like, not even relevant in the city. So being around an environment that's leveled up does help. It's not totally needed. But like you said, being around a dense population of people that are all going hard after something, because whatever environment you're in, you adapt to. So if you throw yourself into an environment, you'll eventually adapt to it. And that adaptation can either go positively or negatively.
Right. Yeah, what would you say to someone who's like trapped in a negative environment?
Get out of it.
Trapped in an environment that's.
Yeah, I mean, there's only a couple options, right? It's like there's the access that you allow an environment to impact you matters as well. There's many people out there that say that Jim Rohn's their mentor, but he's dead. So, and there's also people that live with abusive family or people that are verbally abusive or people that are passive aggressive but don't get affected by it. So it's also only accepting energy from certain types of people, which is why I'm very careful with my mentors being healthy, having great family relationships, and having great business prosperity. Because if I open myself up to them having influence over me and creating my environment, then all of a sudden I'll start getting some of what they have. And that can be a positive thing or a negative thing. So if you're in a negative environment, you can choose to block out the energy that other people are giving you by putting your focus on other people. And you can have people like Jim Rohn, who's dead, be your mentor, because you can literally listen to him. You can have the words speak to you, accept those words as something that starts shaping and creating your life. But the second thing is you also have full control over dropping friends. Like when I was 18 years old, I didn't have any cool people to hang out with at the time. All I did was just drop all my crappy friends. That was at least halfway, half the step. At least I didn't have any bad friends. I didn't have any good friends either, but at least I didn't have the bad ones. So the first thing is going to be obviously getting rid of the bad friends. And generally that comes in foul swoops for me. I'll find one person that I really want to connect with that has something that I don't, and I just drop all my other friends and go hang out with that person, and they generally have a group of friends that are like them.
Sound advice, my friend. So where can people find you? How can they get in touch?
Yeah, they can go to Nicholas Bayerle on Facebook and Instagram. That's where I'm always hanging out. And if anyone reaches out to me, I'd love to answer any questions on this subject. It's definitely something that is simple, just not easy. But the great thing is that if success was guaranteed, the majority of the people out there would actually keep going. That guy who stopped 3 feet from gold, if he knew for sure that if he kept digging, he'd find gold, he would have never stopped. So a lot of people out there, they're stopping, they're quitting right before something happens. Because great ideas, they can fail from people not executing. But bad ideas, a lot of them actually will succeed if someone just works hard enough at them.
Very good. Yeah, absolutely. Nicholas, well, thank you so much for your time, man. I think that everyone out there has got a ton of value from this. And if you haven't been, it's a $1 billion body, right? So there's a Facebook page too, and stay in touch with all the stuff that you've been doing. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of stuff you're doing, and I kind of thought the same thing. This is a guy I want to connect with. This is someone who I want to know what he's up to, kind of get an idea of what he's up to, and help him bring his message to the world. So
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I actually just came out with something that no one's ever seen before yet. I think we're about to send out our first email, which is thebilliondollarbody.com/blueprint for guys out there that want to have more energy, more confidence, to be able to transform their body so they have control over it. It's the lowest investment thing with the highest amount of value that we've ever put out before. And so I'm excited to see how these guys utilize that to be able to increase that power and confidence, because everything in the workplace, it's like the first thing people see is what you're wearing, of course, maybe your haircut, but also how you take care of yourself. And the way you take care of yourself is a representation of what your commitment level is, because no one else can make you get out of shape or in shape besides you. So that there's no external influences that can really affect you besides the ones that you allow. So it's a great way to build rapport. It's a great way to make more money. I mean, it's the number one key to my success, or anyone's success, that the guys that we have, they may be doing $10 million a year, but they're not happy without their health. And so we give that back. So, yeah, thebilliondollarbody.com/blueprint, something brand new. And anyone has any questions on that, just hit me up. I answer questions quick.
Very cool. Very cool. Thanks so much for your time, Nicholas. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right.